What is up, GOAT World? It is me, your boy JDZ, and I'm back at you again with another GOAT format video. Today, I'm going to bring you a very special treat. I have before you today the very best deck in GOAT format, and this is not a drill, I am serious. This is the only undefeated deck in GOAT format. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you all to what I like to call Lava Golem Control, or Golem Control for short. I say yes, this deck is undefeated. This deck is the only deck to go undefeated in the toughest, most rigorous GOAT format dueling league, the GOAT format war league I mean, it was an impressive 2-0, but still, you know, undefeated means undefeated. Also, when I do take this deck onto the GOAT format dueling ladder, I do tend to have pretty good success playing this deck because it can surprise your opponent. It can catch people off guard. People aren't typically ready to play a deck like this. Maybe in a tournament setting where you have different scouting procedures and people are seeing your replays and people are analyzing what kind of decks you're playing, maybe a deck like this might not have that much success, but in a surprise type situation, a smaller venue, locals, things of that nature, this deck could have some great effects. So really quickly, I want to do a quick card by card, and then we'll hop on into some replays, and I can show you what I mean, how I think this deck can be good for the metagame that we're currently in right now. So first off, we have 3 Lava Golem, 3 Mrs. Tomato, 3 Spirit Reaper, 1 Tsukiyomi, 2 Abyss Soldier, 1 Tribe Infecting Virus, Sinister Serpent Breaker, Sangin, Trinity, Heavy, 3 Goat, 3 Meta, 2 Knock, 1 Pre, True Nade, Snatch, Ceasefire, Triple Compulsory, 2 Gravity Bind, 1 Cylinder, Force, and Ring. So the idea of this deck at its core is basically a GOAT control deck, but it has a specific element of it. That element is the Lava Golem. If you know me in any capacity, you know that Lava Golem is one of my favorite cards. I have been working on this deck for about the better part of a year now, because I really believe that Lava Golem is a card that should be played in our metagame, even though it isn't, you know, the best card. It's something that can kind of catch people off guard, because if you notice, the very best deck in our game is that Chaos Turbo deck. It's very prevalent, very powerful deck. They like to swarm the field. They're going to have Gravekeeper Spy. Spy is going to generate Spy, and then that's automatic Lava Golem bait. They love to bring out their Chaos monster, get a banish in, set up a monster next to that Chaos monster, and now you, as the opponent facing that, is a huge problem, because they just plussed on you with the Chaos monster that they brought down, and then they set another monster that's beside it that's a huge threat, and you are now have to deal with both of those cards. You now have to deal with the Chaos monster, and you have to address that set. It's going to be very difficult to do, but Lava Golem can deal with that all within itself. So placing Lava Golem down, controlling Lava Golem back to your hand, or controlling the ability to attack, or what you can do, another great thing about this deck, you can play the scapegoats, you know, have Lava Golem attack one of those scapegoats, and then play Metamorphosis, and then equip that Lava Golem with 1000 Eyes Restrict, and now you have a 3000 attacking 1-star spellcaster on your side of the field, and I think that's pretty cool. So that's the idea of the deck. That's the concept of the deck. Some of the choices I made in this deck, I brought Compulsory in because I would like to, like I said, I want to get the Lava Golem onto their field, and I like to have it back to my hand in a situation that I need to, because at the end of the day, it is a 3000, 2500 attacking monster. You give it to your opponent without a plan, and it could just spiral out of control for you very quickly. So I want a way to put that thing back to my hand if I need be. I have the Gravity Binds in there to kind of stop it from attacking me. Also with the Magic Cylinder, I think that's pretty cool. I added Magic Cylinder and Ceasefire because I felt like I was doing enough damage to my opponent, but just not quite enough to push over that threshold to get to the Dublinsky. So I added the Magic Cylinder. Also the Giant Trinade and the Abyss Soldier. Giant Trinade is kind of remnants from a previous build that I had, but I just left it in there because I was having some great effects and I like using Giant Trinade. But the Abyss Soldier and the Giant Trinade, what they can do is they can also bounce the Lava Golem back to your hand, so you can get more Lava Golem deployments. Also, when you do have that 1000 Eyes Restrict attached with a Lava Golem on it, you know, you can there are times when you can play Giant Trinade, bounce Lava Golem back to your hand from the 1000 Eyes Restrict, re-equip it, re-employ that Lava Golem to your opponent's side of the field, re-suck with 1000 Eyes Restrict, and then attack with 3000 on an empty board. You know, another thing you have to understand is that when you're playing a Go Control deck, no matter what kind of Go Control deck, or if you're playing anything that isn't Chaos Turbo, chances are you are going to lose that resource war early and often. You're going to lose that. So if you can understand that you're going to be playing behind, this deck is a fairly slow deck. All control decks are typically pretty slow. If you understand that you're going to be behind in that resource game, you can, you know, feel more comfortable knowing like, hey, okay, I'm behind. They made their chaos play. They got their flips on me. Then you slap them with Lava Golem, put a Gravity Bind, and sometimes that can just ride. You know, if they've already employed all their Thunder Dragons, they can just ride. Or hell, if you even remove the Chaos Monster and a flip, and they tribute Lava Golem for a Thunder Dragon. You're fine with that exchange. That's a huge swing in material in your favor, and they're making a play that they never would have made, that they don't want to make. That's a suboptimal play only because you have now included a factor into their game plan that they weren't necessarily prepared for. And if you look into the side deck that I have for this deck, I have BLS, 2 Zaborg, 2 Shining Angel, 1 DD Warrior Lady, 1 Mobius, 1 Ashura, 1 Brain, 2 Swap, 1 Control, 1 MST, a Mystic Walk, and a Torrential Tribute. If you look into that side deck, you can see I have like a conversion type thing that I'm going to do. So what this deck can do for you as well is that if you see, if your opponent, like I said, if this is on a ladder, if this is on a, and they don't know what the matchup is and they don't know you as a player, and they see Lava Golem and they see Gravity Bind, chances are they're going to remove a lot of their key cards and bring in very suboptimal cards against you in order to prepare for a burn matchup that doesn't even exist, because now you've taken all that material out of your deck. You've gone with more of a standard go control type deck with some monarchs in there. So depending on what their matchup is, you can kind of adjust that in place. Also, if you're playing against the warrior deck, Spirit Reaper is great against warrior. They're playing Solemn Judgments and stuff, so that 3000 is going to do some work on them. Gravity Bind is great against warrior. Magic Cylinder is great against warrior. So warrior matchups are actually quite easy. If you're playing against burn is quite free because they're going to play Floodgates too. They play Floodgates, you put Lava Golem on them, they are not prepared for that at all. And then going into that second game, like I said, you got Mobius coming in, you got all these other things. So burn matchup is free. The turbo matchup, your hardest matchup, is not as hard. It's going to be hard no matter what because it's a very, very good deck, and depending on the caliber of players you're playing against, it's going to be what it is. But it is not as difficult as it is playing against a standard go control deck, because if the plan has worked correctly, you have coerced your opponent into adding suboptimal cards into their deck, and then you're going into that second and third game, and now they have to make a decision that isn't just, oh, can I set my GK Spy? You got to think about that, because is Lava Golem going to come after you? Can I do? Now they're playing around it, so it's a very cool thing. I love this deck. Tell me what you think about it. Again, this is just a theory. These are just concepts and ideas I want to add to this. So if you're watching this video, you can take these same concepts and ideas and then you can grow them and we can develop something. But this is Lava Golem Control. Like I said, it's a deck that means a lot to me. I've worked on this deck for a while, and if you enjoy decks like this or trying new things or making your own impact or whatever you want to do in Goat format, it's very difficult. It's a 20-year-old game, for crying out loud, but I think this deck is really, really cool for that. So I got some replays. I'm going to go ahead and pull them bad boys up and we can do it exactly like that. So I'm playing against a duelist called Surely Not a Smurf. Okay, Surely Not a Smurf has a 1000 experience, 493. I'm still sitting at a 581. No big deal. I did win the dice roll. I did win the coin toss. I did win the power clip scissors, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to go first. I'm going to go ahead and T-set. I set the ceasefire and I set the Sangan, hopefully to entice a breaker or something like that. Maybe I can even get a nobleman across. I don't mind. And then I can keep my Sangan, but my opponent elects to go ahead and slam the Delinquent of Duo. The Delinquent Duo is going to rip my Gravity Bind, rip my Gravity Bind, rip my Metamorphosis, and they go out and make a hasty creature swap play. I don't like this play. I hate this play. I think plays like this shouldn't happen, especially if you're coming out and you see this Gravity Bind, you see this Metamorphosis. There's no reason to make a hasty creature swap play. I think the DD Warrior Lady Slam is probably a better play in that situation. However, they went for the creature swap, and I'm fine with that. And they set up the Royal Decree before passing. So now I have the Shining Angel on the field. Maybe I can go ahead and plus up my opponent. I'm going to go ahead and hit into the Sangan, get my Sinister Serpent in rotation, and I'm going to try to go ahead and get a quality plus out of my opponent by ripping with this Spirit Reaper. That's another great thing about this deck. Spirit Reaper is an ancillary good card. You know what I'm saying? Ripping cards from your opponent's hand is always going to be value. And when you do have Lava Golem in the equation, chances are if they know you have Lava Golem in your hand, they're not going to want to add more cards to the fray. So they're going to be playing with one card. If you were going to remove that one card from the play, Spirit Reaper can be opened up to attack in and do some cool stuff that way. So I go ahead and rip the DD Warrior Lady, which is great for me, and they chain Royal Decree. I go ahead and hit my opponent for another 1000. They're already at 5700. No big deal. They top the Soul Exchange, so they're in some type of Monarch build. They gotta like that. I see Soul Exchange. I know Lava Golem is going to be significantly worse playing in this matchup because they're going to have a ton of Monarchs. So I already know the plan is to get that stuff out of this deck. They got Royal Decree and everything, so that's cool. So they come out, bring the Zaborg, pop the Spirit Print, and I draw the guy. I get the the lava golem. So I'm just thinking in my head, how can I employ this lava golem? How can I get this lava golem into the fray? They got royal decree, lava golem, whatever. We're gonna make it happen. So I go ahead and set up the mystical tomato, pass it. Opponent tops the metamorphosis, which is great for them. I think this is a good Balter to make right here. So they go ahead and make the Balter. Balter is going to slam the mystic tomato, negating that effect. And I'm kind of down bad. You know, they got normal spells are turned off. Normal traps, all traps are turned off. I got my hand, which is, you know, I can't play any monster because he's negating those effects. I'm in a down bad spot. This is a great spot for my opponent. So I go ahead and set up the Ring of Destruction, just trying to bluff. But my opponent, this is a great Magician of Faith to set in any other situation except for right now. Because guess what? As soon as they put the Magician of Faith down, I know that I have this lava golem play that I can make on my opponent, and I can just take back over this game. Right now, I think they're in complete control of this game. They got the traps are knocked off, the normal spells are knocked off. They got a very threatening Magician of Faith. They got this dark ball which is shutting me down. I am just in a bad way. But they come in, crunch me 2000. I'm like, okay, cool, no big deal. I draw into the Gigante Trinade, Giant Trinade, and I just lava golem, throw him right in the cage. Get in the cage, dude. And he's just like, okay, so he's like, what is going on? Why is there a lava golem on my field right now? I didn't ask for this. I don't want this. So I'm like, cool. And I go ahead and premature burial the Mystic Tomato. As I stated before, you can special summon. You can't set. You can't normal summon. You can still special summon. So I brought this Mystic Tomato back just so I can have some type of defense from this 3,000 minutes. And I go ahead and Giant Trinade here because I figure I do some quick mathematics. If they cannot put down another normal summon, I can go ahead and ring this lava golem, bring out the Sinister Serpent, attack for a game. That is the idea of what I'm going for. So they're on Royal Decree. So I Giant Trinade it, get my premature burial back, set the Ring of Destruction. My opponent sets the Scapegoat, sets the Royal Decree, pass back over to me. They take that 1,000. Okay, you're gonna take that 1,000 for one. Okay, and then I go ahead and hit him with a quick Ring of Destruction, take another 3,000, and then I go ahead and go. So I draw into the Metamorphosis. I go and summon the Sinister Serpent as a part of the plan, try to attack in for game, but my opponent takes the 300 and then reveals Scapegoats. So that's cool. So they were in a dominant position. Now they kind of find themselves in a losing position because of the lava golem, 100% lava golem right there. So I draw into the Breaker, the Magic Warrior. I know the card on the right is 100% Royal Decree. So I go ahead and bring out the Breaker, break the card on the left, or excuse me, break the card on the right. I know the card on the left was Royal Decree, break the Ring of Destruction. They go ahead and ring up the Serpent. And then I just say, I think about it for a second. I just go ahead and premature burial, bring back Sangan, clear all those tokens just because I don't need them, top another meta, and just dragging this game out any longer than it needs to be. Opponent go ahead and draws into the Yugioh the fella, brings out a Magician of Faith, and they just go ahead and scoop it up. So Lava Golem showing its value in that game right there. I thought that was pretty neat. So going into game 2, like I said, I've already converted all of my burn cards out of my deck, and now I'm just playing a standard Go Control deck at this point, or with some Go Control and Recruiters, even though they don't really go together. Go Control and Recruiters probably shouldn't do that, but that's kind of what I'm on right now. Opponent still go ahead and slams the King Tiger Wango and makes another critical misplay. Online, it's easy to start misclicking. When you start misclicking, you know what I'm saying? You just, things like that happen. It just sucks. So now I know my opponent has Royal Decree in their hand. I have Mirror Force in my hand. I mean, it's unfortunate, but that's just what it is. I try to pretend like I don't see it, but I definitely see it. So instead of, I go ahead and duo my opponent. Duo is going to find the Shining Angel and the creature swap. I just want to set up the DD Warrior Lady into the face of the King Tiger Wango. I get duoed again, no big deal. I didn't bring any traps down because I don't want to get decreed for everything I got, but you know, it is what it is. And I lose the Torrential and the Tomato. And I just go and banish with DD Warrior Lady. And then I bring out Tomato smack in for 1,400. It connects, set the Mirror Force just to, you know, kind of be fair and fall into the Royal Decree. Opponent go ahead and brings out Tribe, clear Miss Tomato, sending out BLS. I don't know about that here. I think I probably be a little bit more patient. Show some exercise, some tactical patience. My opponent really wanted to get aggressive on me. I don't blame him. And I go ahead and Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi is going to go ahead and Suk and destroy the Tribe Infected Virus. Ring of Destruction, or another Royal Decree comes on in, and I get the Nobleman to cross out. Opponent go ahead and grab the Pot of Greed, goes enemy control and Dez Wombat. Opponent is playing the Dez Wombat, you know what I'm saying, playing against these burn decks, thinking I'm on burn, but there's no burn cards in my deck. So Dez Wombat comes in actually doing some bulky, beefy damage to me, hit me for 16. Tsukiyomi is going to try to go and clear up this Dez Wombat. My opponent brings in enemy controller as well. So enemy controller probably brought in from the side deck to kind of counter the Lava Golem shenanigans, perhaps, is what my opponent was thinking. I don't know. So they hit me with enemy controller. I go ahead and Nobleman to cross out, send that thing out of there because I can't keep taking all these 16s or I will surely lose. Opponent go ahead and draws the Brick Zaborg Thunder Monarch. No big deal. I get the Abyss Soldier. Abyss Soldier is going to come on out, declare a priority, send that other Royal Decree back to the hand before swinging in with Abyss Soldier. Then opponent going Soul X for a set mon, so I know for a fact that's the Borg. I wish I drew a Mr. Tomato right there. That'd be so cool. But I go ahead and set up the Sangan. Opponent gets Graceful Charity. Graceful Charity is going to discard Breaker and the secondary Royal Decree, and then set up Magician of Faith before coming on in with the Zaborg. Zaborg is going. So I want to grab the Spirit Reaper and then say go. Then I'm going to go ahead and set up the Sinister Serpent, go into the Metamorphosis play, bring out Thousand Eyes Restrict, try to take the set. You know, I think this was a slight misplay maybe. I don't know. I probably should have, because I have the Tsukiyomi loop already up and active. I think I probably should have grabbed the Zaborg, the Frost Monarch here. Zaborg, the Thunder Monarch, and then vibed it that way instead of, you know, trying to get hasty. I got a little hasty, and then I ended up with his opponent got Mystic Walk in the deck as well. But it doesn't matter because, you know what I'm saying, they got me on this one. I think, yeah, they get me because they bring back the Tribal Infecting Virus, discard the Mystic Walk, kill the Thousand Eyes, and then punch me in for what is going to be game. So they get me there. And it's unfortunate because I thought I played it okay. I just made one critical mistake towards the end of that game. But you can see how it kind of works. So now they have a decision to make. Do they keep those suboptimal cards in, or do they move on with it? I don't know. So we're gonna see what happens. So I think this duel is playing a lot of Monarch, so I think I just kept the burn stuff out on this one. And again, they brought in more Monarch stuff, more Mystic Walks. They kept all that stuff in. I go ahead and set the Mr. Tomato this time. Opponent go ahead and sets Faith, sets Econ and pass. I go ahead and bring down the Breaker the Magic Warrior, try to get up on the Econ, which, you know, is great. I don't like Econ at all. I don't think people should be playing Econ unless you have a better plan for it. But Faith grab Econ is pretty cool. And then they're going to make another play that I think is suboptimal. I think they should just sack the Magician of Faith, keep the Econ, and then bring out one of the Monarchs. But they elect to go sack Magician of Faith for Econ, try to take over the Breaker, and I just compulse that bad boy back to my hand for another quality Breaker pop. You know, no big deal. So I go into the first main phase and I go DD Warrior Lady. DD Warrior Lady is going to slam on into the Magician of Faith. They're going to grab another Econ, which is just crazy. And then the Mr. Tomato is going to punch on in for 14, and I'll pass. They draw another Zaborg, so they're just Zaborging up. Maybe they could have reduced some of these. They know what kind of deck I was playing. They set up the Sinister Serpent and pass. I bring out Breaker, knowing that's probably Econ again. They break the Econ, but they probably should have. I guess it wouldn't have mattered because I could have just switched it back. Attacking with DD Warrior Lady, we're going to banish that Sinister Serpent, punch on in for a nice hearty 14. Another Wombat is going to come on out. Wombat is going to attack the Breaker. I'm going to ring the Wombat. We both take that 16. You still take the damage of Wombat. No big deal. And then I bring these guys back to attack position, electing not to attack into what could be a Torrential Tribute. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to risk it. No point of risking it. I'm feeling pretty well about this game. And they draw into another Monarch. So that's the Monarch deck, man. It's going to break, but still, you know what I'm saying? They playing Econ. They're playing Wombats. They're playing all these Mobius. They're playing Mystic Walk. You know, all these cards are just jamming their deck up, and I don't have any of that stuff left in my deck. You know, that these cards are probably brought in for. So that's another benefit of playing this deck. I think that's really neat. Okay, moving on to the next duel. The next duel I'm playing against a duel is called Emmy. Emmy has 7,000 experience, 659 on the ladder. No big deal. We're going to hop on into it and see how it goes down. I won this one as well. I've been on a streak winning my RPSs, getting after it. I have the Lava Golem in my hand, so it's time to duel. Every time I feel it, get this Lava Golem, I feel that energy coursing through me, and it is what it is. So opponent's playing the warrior strategy. You know what I'm saying? They're going to go ahead and rotor for Dawn. That dude is going to run into the scapegoats all day long. I reveal the scapegoats like the boss that I am, protecting myself from this Donald Zalug, and then they just quit. You know, they feel the power of the scapegoats, and they feel the power emanating from my deck, from the Lava Golem. They're like, you know what? I don't have any time for this. I need to get the hell out of here. I'm not going to do it, so I'm going to bounce. You know what I'm saying? I thought I'd include that, you know what I'm saying? Because this deck is undefeated. You know, this deck can't lose. So I thought I would show some of that into this into that replay as well. You know, people just running in terror playing against this deck. All right, moving on. So we're going again. I have another one. This one against a duelist that goes by the name of Brosgite 94, Brosgite 1994, 758, 10K experience. So this duelist absolutely knows what's going down, how to do it, how to lose the RPS. No big deal. I got Lava Golem in my deck, so I'm not worried about any RPS going first, second. It does not matter. My opponent is playing a wild concoction, it seems. They're on some spice as well. Got DMOC, got BLS, and some trap cards. Moreover, okay, my opponent comes out, and they're going to set the Mirror Force, set the Jar Greed, and set the Blade Knight. That is an interesting technique. Okay, and I'm going to bring out the Mystical Tomato and try to attack. They're going to play their Mirror Force, no big deal. Get the Jar Greed, get into the Knight Assailant, get another Jar Greed, flip Blade Knight, and punch. Okay, I'm going to eat that. I'm going to eat that. I'm going to eat the Blade Knight punch. I didn't flip these ghosts. Probably should have flipped the ghost and go into a meta play, but I'm trying to see what's going on. My opponent still has 2 cards in hand, so I'm going to bring out this Abyss Soldier and try to just clean up that Blade Knight, and it goes through. So that's cool. My opponent then Jar Greeds in end phase, getting Noble Cross out, flips the Knight Assailant, and I compulse that thing right on back to my hand. I think Compulsory is a really cool card for stuff like that because, yeah, I'll take the 200 damage. Yeah, I'll take the 1800 damage, whatever you got going on, and then I can just bring this Abyss Soldier back into the fray and do work to you that way. But they elect not to summon. They just went ahead and punch on in for the 200 before passing. I think that's a mistake. I think you want to go ahead and try to summon. If you do get TT'd, your BLS is now live and you're feeling fine with that. So I think that's a misplay from Brosgite 94. Anyway, so I bring out the Abyss Soldier and go ahead and clean up this Knight Assailant. But now they have Light and Dark anyway, so maybe that was the plan and they didn't want to waste this Kaiku. They can just go BLS anytime they wanted to. But they like to go, instead of going Tribe, well, they can't go Tribe because this guy's Aqua. Yo, shout out to Abyss Soldier. They elected to go ahead and go Kaiku Bump, and I'm fine with Kaiku Bump. I let that ride. I bring out the Spirit Reaper. They go ahead and TT Splash, blow up the entire field. I set up the Magical Cylinder pass. They go ahead and bring out the Tribe Infecting Virus, and I play the Magic Cylinder. I do it because I'm like, okay, if I don't play this Magic Cylinder, they're definitely going to get Breaker, and they're going to remove this thing, and I don't want to get it out of the way before that happens. I bring out the Scapegoats in the end phase, play the Pot of Greed, add 2 to the hand, and then I go ahead and make my Metamorphosis play, bring out Thousand Eyes Restrict now, and go ahead and punch on in for a nice meaty 1600. Looking at my opponent's life points, they're trickling ever so low. The Ring of Destruction is set by my opponent. I have Ring of Destruction in my hand. I'm really valuing that Ring of Destruction because that could theoretically end this game at a moment's notice. He's sitting at 14 and I'm sitting at 46. I normal summon the Sang in the end phase, probably misplay. I probably should have brought that bad boy out earlier in that attacking position, but I elected not to do that. Opponent's going to go ahead and chain the Mystical Space Typhoon. I play the Ring of Destruction on the Sangan just to get more burn damage to my opponent. Now they're sitting at 400. I get the Search. I bring out Sinister Serpent, and then I pass. My opponent goes Call the Haunted, discards the Dark Mission of Chaos, special summon the BLS, and elects to try to push for a game. But guess what? I reveal my Gravity Bind. You know what I'm saying? So if that MST would have hit the Gravity Bind, well, I think I win the game that way. So yeah, maybe not, but it's all good. So I have the Gravity Bind down and it's doing its absolute thing. I set another Gravity Bind because if I have Heavy, they probably won't play Heavy. Maybe not, but if Breaker, they'll definitely play Breaker. So who knows? So maybe they'll play both. I don't know. Yeah, I think they probably play both in that situation, but they didn't have it. So I just set them both. It didn't matter. I bring out. They set out the Magician of Faith, and guess who comes off the top of the deck? None other than the Lava Golem. Oh, perfect setup, just like I like to see it. I got a BLS, I got a Tribe, and I have a set monster. I go ahead and just special summon the Lava Golem, covering up the Tribe and the BLS. I do that just in case Book. If this is Book of Moon, I'd rather them not have the ability to, destroy this Lava Golem with the next card. And then we're going to enter the standby phase. And then the game just ends. You know what I'm saying? They drew a Tsukiyomi too, which is pretty funny because they could have sooked that thing down if they had a little bit more time, but they didn't. So guess what? That's how it is. That's how it is. That's how it is. All right, Brosgite 94. We're gonna go on in. Okay, so they're gonna go first. On this one, I sided everything out again. I sided all the stuff out and brought in the Go Control package just to see what kind of stuff they will bring in. So just to see what kind of countermeasures they bring in. I go ahead and go DD Warrior Lady Swing. DD Warrior Lady is going to go ahead and banish the Serpent. They're going to Dust Tornado in phase. Probably brought those Dust Tornadoes in for the Gravity Binds and whatnot. Then they're going to go Thunder Dragon for 2. Thunder Dragon for 2. Bring out Breaker. Breaker is going to hit the Brain Con. I think I set all that stuff. I probably shouldn't have done that, but I was so afraid of Morphing Jar for some reason. I don't know why I was playing around Morphing Jar like a rube, but I got severely punished there for that play. I go ahead and go Tsukiyomi. Tsukiyomi into the Breaker, and that's going to plus up. Love that. And then my opponent draws into the Snatch Steal. I then go ahead and try to make the Spirit Reaper swing play, and then they're going to call back Thunder Dragon. Thunder Dragon is going to block my attack. They're going to Snatch, kill that, punch in for Thunder Dragon. And it seemed like they brought in a lot of Tsukiyomis too. So Tsukiyomi is going to be set. I set a Miss Tomato. Miss Tomato is going to grab Spirit Reaper. Spirit Reaper is going to go into defense position, and then I go ahead and set a compulsory and pass. Opponent go ahead and no crossouts. Looking back on it, I probably should let that knock go through. That's probably a misplay, but I compose back to my hand just to go 1-for-1. Keep the Sangan. I'd rather get another quality search to my hand, which is going to be that Sinister Serpent. Waiting on a meta, waiting on some type of play, but they have 2 Tsukiyomi in rotation. I know of one right now, but it is what it is. So I go ahead and set the Ring of Destruction, set the Miss Tomato, and pass. Then they go ahead and Night Assailant, start Night Assailant looping me. I go ahead and I have to ring that because I want to get that Night Assailant off the field. I can't sit here and just get looped out of my gourd. So I'm gonna break up that loop they have and try to get rid of the Night Assailant, get another Spirit Reaper from the deck, and then hopefully I can just kind of sit behind the Spirit Reaper until I can get some more cards. You know, this is what I mean. Their boards are just they're growing on me. But what note I'm paying attention to as I'm kind of falling behind in this game is that my opponent isn't falling into my plan. You know what I'm saying? They're not, from what I've seen, we're 22 cards left in deck, and I haven't seen any cards that are, you know, suboptimal yet. I haven't seen any of the burn cards. So maybe I'm thinking to myself, next game, if I do not make it out of this game, I can go back to the Lava Golem stuff. So I go ahead and bring out Sangan Premature, and then I go ahead and attack into the Night Assailant. Just keep trying to break that loop. But they flop the Tsukiyomi, attack into the Sangan, attack me directly with Tsukiyomi, and I'm not in a good spot at all. In phase, I'm going to go ahead and play the Scapegoats. Why? I don't know. Or not in phase, but during that battle, I play the Scapegoats, and then I have the Metamorphosis. But I know he has Tsukiyomi. I know he has 2 Tsukiyomi at this point, so I don't want to Metamorphosis yet. I want to kind of try to see if I can weasel through some of this back row. If I can get Heavy Storm, if I can get something like that to kind of chew up some of this back row, I can then feel more comfortable than trying to attack in and get more aggressive. I get the Pot of Greed, which is great. I draw 2 right into a Graceful Charity, which is even better. And then I get the Abyss Soldier. So now I got the Abyss Soldier. I have the Sinister Serpent thing going on. I have Metamorphosis. So I'm going to play this Metamorphosis. Maybe I can pull some back row from my opponent. I can get something happening. My opponent likes to go Torrential Tribute here, which I think might have been a mistake. I think he probably just ring that. Maybe he got all those cards, but they go Torrential Tribute, which is fine, and clears the Shining Angel and clears the Thousand Eyes. And I just go ahead and set up my Mirror Force, set up Scapegoats, and they MST hit the Scapegoats before passing. And they set up Night Assailant super quick off top of the deck. I get the Sinister Serpent back. I go ahead and Delinquent Duo my opponent, hitting one of those Tsukiyomis, and then I set 1 Compulse. And then I will go ahead and bounce the Mon back to the hand just to kind of reset them. But I don't attack because I think that one of these might be Mirror Force, and I want to make sure my Compulsor is live and I can put that thing back to my hand in the event that I need to. All right, so they go ahead and try to ring my guy, and I do just that. I put the Abyss Soldier back in my hand before passing, and then I get back my Sinister Serpent, and then I go ahead and normal summon that thing again, and they just Solemn Judgment it. And I feel pretty bad about that. I'm not gonna lie, that didn't feel good. But they get the Heavy Storm. They're going to play the Heavy Storm, and then they don't. I could probably do 1100 there if I'm them. No big deal. That's what they said to do. So I go ahead and bring out the Assure Priest. Assure Priest is going to attack into Magician of Faith. They're going to get Premature Burial back, attack into the Night Assailant, killing the Assure Priest. And I'm feeling pretty terrible. You know, they got the Premature. They're going to elect to grab, I don't know, maybe I'll get somebody that can attack to try to do some damage. But they like to go get the Magician of Fate, which is also pretty good because they got the Solemn Judgment to back it up. They're in a great spot. And then they can just go ahead and punch me for 11. No big deal. And then I bring out the Breaker. So I go Breaker here. Breaker is going to pop the Solemn Judgment, pop the Magician of Faith. They're going to get back the Heavy Storm because they, you know, maybe they feel some kind of way about it. They top the Dark Magician of Chaos. Then they go Tsukiyomi, clear the Breaker, plus up on him, set the Heavy Storm, pro set, and then pass. I go ahead and set the the Sinister Serpent, set compulsory. And then they go 1 light, 1 dark, slam the Chaos to try to attack into the Spirit Reaper. But I feel that I want to preserve this Spirit Reaper because I'm hoping that they set another quality flip neck down on the field, and then I can sack this Zaborg, punch in, and see that. But maybe I probably should have just let this thing go. I don't know. I don't know what the correct play is, but fortunately for me, they go ahead and set the Tsukiyomi anyway, which is great. And then I sack it up for Zaborg. Zaborg's going to pop the Tsukiyomi before I crunch on in for 24. Still know they got, I know that they have Chaos Sorcerer coming down. Maybe they can go Chaos Sorcerer and then forget to sack for this Thunder Dragon. And then I could just try, or then I could just Thousand Eyes and win, but they didn't forget. They get me right here. So cool. But one thing I did notice is that they didn't really have a plan for all the burn shenanigans that I got in my deck. So I go back to the burn stuff on this one, and then I am going first. So they draw their stuff. I get my stuff. I go ahead and set up the Spirit Reaper. I set up the Compulsory and the Scapegoats and pass. They bring out the break the Scapegoats, which is cool, and then I pop them on the field. And then they bring out the Nobleman Across out. I go ahead and compulse the Spirit Reaper back to my hand. This is something I was doing that day. I was feeling like, you're not going to Nobleman me. I'm going to send it back to my hand, and then we're going to do that. I bring out Tsukiyomi, go ahead and quality plus the breaker, get Tsukiyomi back to my hand. They upstart, give me 1,000, and they draw another Tsukiyomi. They set up the Spirit Reaper, the Sinister Serpent, pass. I go ahead and Abyss Soldier, attack this Sinister Serpent, pass it back over to them. They get it back to their hand, and then they set up the Night Ass this time. So I go ahead and duo my opponent right now. Hopefully, seeing they got the Sinister Serpent, so now I'm gonna try to get a quality rip from their hand with the Spirit Reaper, and they elect to destroy the Spirit Reaper. They draw into Thunder Dragon. Thunder Dragon up. They're gonna add 2 to the hand. Okay, and then they're going to set up one as Tsukiyomi is just being thwarted by this Abyss Soldier. Tsukiyomi wants to come on out and clean this Abyss Soldier, just can't do it. Doesn't want to bump with this Kaiko to go destroy Abyss Soldier, doing his absolute thing. Tsukiyomi's going to come down, flip the Abyss Soldier, flip it back up. Abyss Soldier crunch in for 1,800, and I set up the Ceasefire. I'm like, whatever, Ceasefire is on the field. Opponent gets back the Sinister Serpent, elects to now go ahead and bump with Kaiku's Ghost Destroyer, and I'm just going to Magic Cylinder right there. So then I go ahead and draw into the Pot of Greed, play it down on the field, get the Abyss Soldier, get the Mr. Tomato, and I just go for game and see what happens. So I come on in with Kaiku the Ghost Destroyer, and then I come on in with the Abyss Soldier. They both connect, and then I just see, hopefully they don't have Solemn Judgment, and then I just play Ceasefire for the Dublinsky. So no Lava Golem really featured in that match, but just showing, hey, you Ceasefire, Magic Cylinder. Maybe you can use those cards in tandem. All right. So last replay I'm going to show is against a duelist that goes by the name of Odinus. Odinus has 1,091 on the ladder. He's a very good player. If you play on the dueling book ladder a lot, you kind of see this duelist around. It's a very solid player. It might be somebody's alt. I don't know who Odinus is, but he might be somebody's alt, but definitely a very talented player. Definitely someone I wouldn't say is a bad GOAT format duelist at all, and I am playing the Lava Golem deck. Okay, so cool. I get to go first again. I'm just winning RPS today. Again, the Golem is with me. I go ahead and T-set again like I have been doing all day, setting up the Missy Tomato, setting up the Ceasefire and passing. Then opponent go ahead and Thunder Dragons up. Thunder Dragons for 2, and then they're going to go ahead and set up the GK Spy. I'm like, cool, okay. I bring out the Spirit Reaper, go ahead and play Nobleman Cross out, and then I elect to just attack in with just the Spirit Reaper instead of flipping the Mr. Tomato and trying to get Mirror Force. I say whatever. I'm just gonna set the Spirit Reaper. I'm just gonna come on in with the Spirit Reaper. They're gonna play Ring Destruction, which is fine. I'm fine with that. And then we're gonna pass. Both take the 300. Opponent comes on down with a Tribe Invading Virus. They're going to hit the Mr. Tomato. I'm going to slam Sangan, and I am going to say go. They're going to say go. I get the Lava Golem. So now the Lava Golem is in my hand, and the wheels are already turning. I'm like, how can I get the maximum bang for my buck with this Lava Golem? I elect to go ahead and bring down the Abyss Soldier and attack in, but my opponent is going to Regeki break the Abyss Soldier, and then I'm going to leave Sangan attack mode to hopefully I can incur an attack on my opponent. Hopefully I can induce them into attacking me, but they elect not to. That's fine. And then I'm just hoping they set, and yes, they do. They set next to the Tribe Infected Virus, which is exactly what I want in this situation. So I draw into Snatch Steal, which is so cool because in a pinch, I could theoretically Snatch Steal the Lava Golem and start attacking my opponent with it. I know that they have Thunder Dragon in their hand, but at the same time, I would much rather them tribute the Lava Golem for Thunder Dragon opposed to them flipping whatever card this is on the field or switching Sangan to the defense position or whatever play I was going to make other than this. So I give them Lava Golem, hit the Magician of Faith, which is just always great, and then I set the Sangan into defense position before passing back over to my opponent. And now my opponent has a decision to make because they have the out to the Lava Golem right now in their hand. They're like, but now they draw this Graceful Charity, and you're going to be seduced. Like I said, you're going to be seduced by the wily ways of Lava Golem. You're gonna see that 3,000, and you're gonna be like, man, I can use this. I got game. So they're gonna bring out the Graceful Charity, and then they're going to get Pot of Greed. They're going to discard Thunder Dragon. And then they're going to MST my back row. I give my opponent another 1,000 damage. So now they're really thinking. They're like, man, I need to push for some damage. I'm about to kick this dude right in his teeth. He gives me this 3,000 monster. I'm going to make him pay for it. So they're going to come on out. They're going to come on out, play the Pot of Greed. They're going to Snatch Steal the Sangan. And then they probably should have went ahead and summoned this Dekoichi in attack position. It went for maximum damage. But you know what? They didn't elect to do that. Hit me with a mighty 4,000. No big deal. Had a little bit of glitchage on the DB. No big deal. No big deal. They set up the jog, set up the force, set up the Dekoichi, pass. I gain 1,000. So now I have to set this Spirit Event. And I did get a little fortunate here. I'm not going to lie. Because if my opponent plays an Open Cross, I probably lose this game. But spoiler, I don't think they did. They had a couple of chances to get to it. They go ahead and take another 1,000. They upstart me for 1,000, draw into the dead trap to shoot. They flip to the Koichi for another draw. They jog for another draw, and then they just can't find the Nova to cross out. No big deal. They run headlong into the Spirit Reaper. Then they duel me, taking another 1,000 damage, and I'm fine. Like I said, in this turbo deck, my opponent is playing turbo. You're gonna fall behind. I'm behind in cards, but you know what? It's fine because I have Lava Golem burning them for 1,000. They needlessly sacrifice their out to it, and here we are. I draw into a Magic Cylinder. I'm like, oh, that's great. If I can get my opponent to attack into me with this Magic Cylinder, it's going to be even better. And I'm gaining 1,000 now because they have Snatch Steal on my Sangan, which is phenomenal. So I make an incredible misplay here. I think to myself, I'm like, okay, if I summon this tribe, maybe they might attack it with the Lava Golem, and then I can Magic Cylinder them. So that's what I went for. I go for tribe, break it up, get my Sangan back. Sangan's going to add my Sinister Serpent back to my hand, and then I'm just going to end my turn there. My opponent could have theoretically played Heavy Storm here and been in a pretty decent position, but they take the 1,000 from Lava Golem, and they go to Crash. So I'm like, I cannot allow this Crash to go down. So that was a tremendous misplay for me. I didn't anticipate the Crash, but I can't let the Crash go. I'm gonna go ahead and Magic Cylinder this right here, and then just needlessly sacrifice my tribe for 14 damage. No big deal. It's not the end of the world, but that's not what I want to do. Then I go ahead and play Duel to remove the obvious Chaos monster that they had set up, and then just literally win the game with Lava Golem. Lava Golem just jumped all over them. They couldn't really do much about it. It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? They got seduced by the wily ways of Lava Golem, and it happens to everyone. It's gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? It's going to happen. All right. So moving on to game number 2. Obviously, I'm going to take all that stuff out. Go into a regular Go Control deck. My opponent comes on out with the Delinquent Duo, hits me for some good stuff, and then they're going to play Upstart Goblin, set up the GK Spy. I played Delinquent Duo on them, you know what I'm saying, a little bit of Retribution, a little bit of Get Back, and then I'm going to rip the tribe, rip the Dekoichi, snatch the GK Spy with Minecon, summon the thing, and get another card. You know, Spirit Reaper showing its ability to get some great effects. So then I pass back. Opponent is going to come on out with the Chaotic Sorcerer to try to go for a quality advantage. I asked Prio before using the Torrential Tribute. Opponent sets up the Sinister Serpent. I topped the BLS, which, you know what I'm saying, I wish it was Lava Golem, but it's not, you know what I'm saying, no big deal. Then I get the Assure Priest, go ahead and punch on into the Sinister Serpent before bouncing Assure Priest back to my hand. Opponent gets the Sinister Serpent back to the hand, set up the Koichi. I want this Assure Priest to die, so I'm clearly not going to play this Heavy Storm. And then they're going to elect to go ahead and use the Regeki Break. I'm immediately going to banish and then bring out the Blackluster Soldier in main phase 2, throwing that Dekoichi out of play, setting up the Heavy Storm. So they get back to Sinister Serpent. Now I got BLS on the field. They're feeling down. You know what I'm saying? BLS is just going to do BLS things. These things happen. I set up the MST, protect myself from Snatch Steal, Upstart Goblin into Jar of Greed, into, hate that, Jar into Upstart to Jars. That's why. And I go ahead and MST that. And then I slam the breaker. I think for a second, I'm like, I don't want to attack because it could be Night Assailant. Don't want to deal with that. Just go ahead and crunch on in for 19 before pass. My opponent has 1 turn left to live. They top the deadest BLS you've ever seen in your life before falling. Okay, so that is just something. Even though my opponent just kind of really didn't get a chance to get their stuff going in that game too. I just wanted to show like some of the ideas of what and the concept that this deck is capable of and what it can do. Again, this is ideas, these are concepts, you know, so if you have other things you want to add to a deck like this, or concepts or the text or strategy or cards, just hit me up in the Discord and we could talk about it. But again, this is a cool deck. Tell me what you think if you want to make a deck like this better. But As always, that's all I have until the next time. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, and tell me what you think about this deck in the comment section. I read all the comments and I reply to all the comments. Again, thank you all for being here and thank you for watching. I'm JDZ. I play Ghost. Next time, shout out to the real one. Salute to the OGs. Peace.
This program was made possible by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and by contributions to your PBS station from viewers like you. Thank you.